I'm fed up with the stupid bloody thing cutting out. Yeah, so basically the live stream cut out when I was still talking. I was just basically saying about speaking to... So I was speaking for 20 minutes and the bloody thing had cut out. And I think this is all by design, but anyway. So I was basically talking about seeing The Amazing Mr. Blunden down at the Eastbourne Theatre down below the library. And it was the man who used to run the library who said to me, do you think the Illuminati are in Eastbourne? And whilst I find it boring talking about Freemasons now because it's just, it's just boring. There is a Freemason lodge in Eastbourne and there is a stronghold for it. But it was him who said it, not me. He said, do you notice the signs and everything? And there was actually a photograph shop with a child doing this. I'm not joking, by the way. Oh, no. It wasn't that one. It was a picture of a child doing that. Yeah, I know. It's not good. Yahweh rebuke it. But it was a picture of a child doing the hand gesture. And this was... it's no longer there now, but this was 2017, 18. Anyway, yeah. So it was wonderful to see one of my favourite classic movies with The Amazing Mr. Blunden. Yes, I know it's got ghosts in it, and ghosts are, the dead are not conscious. It's demonic. But anyway, I still like the film. And yes, I got very emotional, tearful. And Madeline Smith was sitting just a few seats away. It was great to watch the film with her there. She played Bella. And of course, Diana Dawes plays her mother in the film. And Lynn Friedrich played, who was also in the film, she played Catherine Howard in a Henry VIII movie. And as you know, I've got connections with these things because my grandmother was related to Anne Boleyn, etc., etc. So, yeah. And of course, Diana Dawes was the godmother in the Prince Charming video with Adamant. And I really wanted to ask Madeline Smith. I wanted to ask her what it was like to work with Diana Dawes, but I never got the words out. I want to get this out because I'm pissed off that I was speaking for 20 minutes and the bloody thing cut out. So I don't think it is my connection because there's no problem here. So I don't know. But anyway, so Madeline Smith was in The Vampire Lovers with Ingrid Pitt, and Ingrid Pitt, I don't want to sound like a big head, but she paid me a lovely, lovely compliment. She came up to me and she was like, oh, she's Polish. She's dead now, but she was in The Wicker Man, which is like, it's like, rather than a horror film, it's more like a Scottish 1970s documentary of what happens in satanic sacrifice and satanic paganism in Scotland. That's what The Wicker Man is like. Now, my late mother and my father, I'm quite shocked by this, but they saw The Omen and The Wicker Man back in the 70s. Now, my mother was not impressed by famous people. my mother met in the 1950s. My mother met Jean Kelly when she worked at Woman's Magazine. She served Harry Belafonte in America. And even when she didn't like Dave Prowse ringing me up, even though he played the biggest movie villain of all movie history, he played Darth Vader, and he was ringing me up. Mum didn't like that. But she was quite impressed when I told her what Ingrid Pitt said to me. She was really quite like, "Ooh, well, you know." I thought, oh, well, you know, my daughter. But yeah, Ingrid Pitt was on the, I know it's satanic, and I have rebuked it in the name of Yahweh, but she was on the cusp, and she was born about a week or two before my mother. Ingrid Pitt was born she was born mid 20, was it the 21st of November or something like that? Was it the 20th or the 21st of November? It's around Chris's birthday, because even Chris was like, he was with me at the time when she came up to me and she went, oh, and she played me a big compliment. And he was like, well, she was you know, back in the day. She does that scene in the Wicker Man where Edward Woodward comes in and she's in the bath naked, and it's a Scottish policeman, and he's meant to be a Christian and a virgin, and he's hunting Rowan Morrison. And there's this little girl who's gone missing, but they've tricked him, and the hunter becomes the hunted, and then they sacrifice him at the end, and it's horrible. It's just horrible. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it because it's horrible. It's not just a horror film, but if these things really have and still happening, like these satanic ritual abuse victims say they do, well, you know, like I said, you know, Ray Savage was an ex-police sergeant, you know, when the police were the police back in the day. And he met Ella Draper, the mother of the Hampstead satanic case. And there's footage of him on YouTube with with the clip of Ricky Dearman. I'm not going to talk about it. You can go and look it up. It's out. All that stuff is out there. I'm not going to talk about it. But Ray Savage dated the mother of children I played with, and wow. As I said, I'm doing what Napoleon said. I do it naturally. Let the enemy will expose himself naturally. You've got to tell me the truth, Darren. You've got to, you know, getting back to what I was saying earlier, you've got to tell me the truth. You've got to be honest with me. Anyway, so talking on a lighter note about this movie. So the thing that I wanted to say, the point that I wanted to make about The Amazing Mr. Blunden, which is what I'm talking about right now, is, so this was some years ago. This is 2017, 2018. I'm in the Eastbourne Library Theatre watching on the old, what do you call it, screen, you know, the cine thing, and Madeline Smith is sat there, and what I really wanted to say to her is something that I've only noticed as an adult, right? I've only noticed this as an adult. I never noticed, because I did see the movie when I was still a child, but I didn't fully remember it. Because I'm finding the older I'm becoming, the more childlike I'm becoming. There is a bit where the girl, so I call her Sarah. My mother's name was Sarah. And my mother used to get annoyed. She'd say, "It's Sarah, Sarah without an H." I was watching, the Little Princess with Shirley Temple. They all say Sarah. It's Sarah, Sarah without an H. If there's no H on the end, it's Sarah. So Sarah. And it's filmed in Buckinghamshire, where I was born. So Sarah, the girl Sarah, she says about Bella, she says she's got the mind of a child. And I reckon that's a trauma thing, because there are moments where Bella goes into this sort of little girl state. And because I've noticed this as an adult, and because I'm becoming more childlike the older I become, I've noticed this. I wanted to say to Madeline Smith, your character Bella, who goes into that childlike state in her mind, she thinks she's a child. That's a trauma thing. But the thing is, I didn't have the confidence to say anything. I didn't have the confidence to say, what was it like working with Diana Dors? Oh, by the way, I had Diana Dawes' A to Z of Men. I had a bookshelf in my bedroom when I was about 8 years old. I had a bookshelf. It had Mills and Boon romance books. These belonged to my mother, not me. So whilst I was playing my cassette tape and singing to Rolf Harris's greatest hits and the Winkle, the Cockney song by, and all his, all of that, I had this book called, on this bookshelf, I had a book called The A to Z of Men by Diana Dors. Now, this was before I discovered Adamant, who was later to become this idol in my life, because A is for Adamant. There's actually A is for Adamant in that book. But I didn't know that at the time, because I didn't discover Adamant till I was 17. So I had this book, and I thought, who is this big blonde bubbly woman on this? Because I was 8 years old. I didn't know who Diana Dors was. She died when I was a baby. And so it was my mum's book. My mother was a few years younger than Diana Dors. And I remember it, B is for bastard. Oh, yes, I remember that. The husband who won't pay child maintenance for your child or something like that. And I remember thinking, ooh, rude word. B is for bastard. And I thought to myself, is that how my mother sees my father? And there's a black and white picture of, at the end of the book, saying, this miserable look of me, this sultry look of mine, because the men that were often around me made me feel that way. It's just really funny. But she's also got the star signs in there. I know she's a Scorpio woman, so just like Adamant. Well, Scorpio male, but yeah. So yeah. But anyway, no, I would like to have said to Madeline Smith, because we talk a lot about in Hollywood, you've got all that trauma-based mind control and the rock stars. And what I said about Adamant in the last live stream, if it hadn't cut out at that point, I was talking about how Adamant grew up in St John's Wood, where the Tavistock Institute is. And I was saying, how Jeanette Archer's got more credibility now because she talks about the Tavistock Institute. Because before I've met Mark Devlin, it's a very small world. I've met Ray Savage, who dated the mother of children I played with in a village not too far from here at a Truthers conference. And Mark Devlin has exposed the music industry. Now, I discovered Mark Devlin when he was talking about the music industry. He mentioned Adamant, and then I discovered things about Adamant on my own because I used to idolize him. So this is what I'm saying. He worshipped Baphomet. His father was in this paedophile sex ring in Dolphin Square. But I've only learned these things since I've stopped idolizing him because, let's face it, I was up until a couple of days ago, I was supporting Tommy Robinson, and then you could never say anything bad about Tommy Robinson because Tommy Robinson is all about the truth. But my ex-Army Jehovah's Witness friend tried to show me a video just over 10 years ago. Before I was with Darren, my ex-Army Jehovah's Witness friend tried to show me a video of Adamant in a Christian church, I think in Portsmouth. This was around 2012-ish, 2011, 2012-ish. And Adamant is in this Christian church, and he's really attacking the Christians, saying, I don't do this SHIT. And he's, I would say, saying blasphemous things, but you can't blaspheme the name of Jesus because the letter J didn't exist. So, and it is, by the way, Darren is absolutely spot on. He's absolutely right. Because there's even a man on the Good Fight Ministries who said that Jehovah means master of mischief, and the letter J never existed. But the Freemasons founded it, and I always felt that they did anyway. But so anyway, like I said, my ex-Army Jehovah's Witness friend at the time was trying to say to me, look at how disgusting he's behaving. And I was like, no, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I love Adamant. You can't say anything bad about him because I idolize him. This is what the enemy does, right? And the enemy will use anything. The enemy will use the Holy Scripture. He will use the gospel to deceive you. He will do anything. If he knows you've got an emotional attachment to a thing or a person. Now, Darren, I want you to prove to me that you are not the devil's spawn, that I have not just got some emotional attachment to you. Because Darren, sorry to anyone watching this, but this is a personal thing because Darren might see this, and I want him to see this because I want him to know that I had not experienced love. I mean, obviously I love my sisters, but they've, it's difficult to explain. But I had not experienced proper love since my mother. That unconditional feeling of, I don't even know how to explain it. I can't actually find the words. So I don't want Darren to be, the devil's spawn, using the name of Yahweh to manipulate, abuse and control a vulnerable woman just so that he's got power, just so that he's in control. Oh, yes, but he's got OCD. Yes, well, OCD and controlling, yeah, whatever. Evil is evil. I don't want it to be that. And you need to prove to me, you've got to prove to me that it is not that. And only you can do that, Darren. Only you can prove to me that you're not just some other idol. Because people, things, objects, everything that the scripture talks about can become strongholds that the enemy uses. Okay? I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you, Darren, if you're watching. You know, the way I feel about my mother, the way I feel about you, that's why it hurts so much. No one's ever hurt me. I've never, ever felt this way about. It was me who left that boyfriend that you know about. It was me that chose to leave him because it wasn't love. I know that sounds awful, but with you, it is. There's something very deep and very special. And I do believe it's come from Abba Yahweh. And that is what is making this so difficult for me. This is why it's so confusing. Because it would just make no sense whatsoever. Either it comes from Abba Yahweh or it comes from the devil. You can't come from both. You can't use the gospel. The whole time I've been with you, Darren, when I kept right, okay, I've moved on from the subject of Adamant, Madeline Smith, Diana Dawes, and all these things. Okay, I'm now talking about my partner. So, you know, if you don't want to hear it, now is the time to get off this live stream, because I don't want to bore anyone hearing this, because this is actually a message to my partner. Because I've finished that subject. I know sometimes I jump back into subjects. It's something that I do. But it was an interesting point to make, by the way, about this thing about I think that there's something there, you know, with what I said about Madeline Smith playing Bella, the because you know she's on stage, you know, going, I'm a naughty girl and you're a naughty boy. It takes a naughty girl to make a naughty boy, you know, and she's quite sexual, isn't she, Bella? I mean, Madeline Smith, she often played a naughty girl, didn't she? You know, you I was watching How It Was in the 1970s with Darren and Charlie about 10 years ago, and Madeline Smith was on the show. I love those. I love those kind of programs. They don't do them anymore. And she was always a naughty girl, wasn't she? And I get it because I do it myself, but it's a trauma thing. It's a trauma thing, right? And I just wish that I had this conversation with her when I met her. But it's so freaking annoying because all I could say was, thank you so much for coming. And she was like, yes, thank you. And I thought, of all the intelligent things I can say, I'm not saying anything. I'm too scared. And I've got so much to say, so I'm saying it now. But yes, I'm often thinking to myself, she's a trauma victim. Bella is a trauma victim. She's a, you know, Sarah says it. She's a little girl in her mind. She's a little girl. And she's sexualizing herself in front of Bertie dear. Who, Bertie dear? Because her parents are drunkards. They're all drunkards. Wicked Lindsay. You know, like these kind of people, yes. I'll come up there and I'll beat you senseless, dirty little bitch. Sorry. I have to laugh about it. Thank goodness. No, it's not funny. It's not funny. But for the sake of this, I'm having to laugh. You get my point, though. Anyway, I've moved on from that and I'm addressing Darren because I'm being deadly serious. You know, us Brits, we deal with trauma. We sexualize things. We use toilet humor. We use humor in general to deal with trauma. But we never do anything about it. That's why I'm asking for you Americans to help me. Anyway, there's so much I could talk about. I could talk about some other fun, interesting things. But no, I'm being deadly serious, Darren, if you're watching, because you do not mess with a woman's heart. You do not tell a woman that you see her as like a wife and you want a child with her, that you mean it, and then you go back on it, and then you do all these things and you neglect and abuse. Because your father said to me, your mother said I could have a good life with you. Your father said you don't have a bad bone in your body. Your father said to me, do you love my son? Well, excuse me, I don't have a father to say to you, do you love my daughter? And I don't know how my father died, because I was locked out of that freak house, that freak building, on news that my father had died. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about this anymore. I wanted to have a humorous chat. Yeah, I also said that on Halloween I went to Asda. I know it's Shabbat, but anyway, you shouldn't be shopping on Shabbat, and certainly not on that night of the. But before the live stream cut out, I said that I went to Asda on Hallows Eve. I know, Abba Yahweh rebuke it all. And on the way, there was a little mouse on the pavement, and he was eating something. And I just went, oh! And he went, phew. Yeah, a wood mouse. And I said how, I love, these little creatures that come out, these psychopaths that murder, like killing things, and they're my only friends. I don't like being around people. I need living creatures. I need to feel their. I said about that shrew that died in my hand when I was with Darren, and this few years back, he took one last breath and he died in my hand. It means so much. But anyway, apparently RAS, Sussex Rescue Wildlife Rescue Service, they'd had about, was it 6 other shrews, baby shrews? Yeah, get plenty of baby seagulls. Oh yeah, never a shortage of them. And a little fluffy thing, they're cute when they're fluffy. Anyway, what was I going to say? On the way to Asda on Halloween, I thought it was quite strange that they played what do you call it? Scooby-Doo. Darren likes Scooby-Doo. The original Scooby-Doo theme, from the 1960s. And I thought, why are they playing that in Asda? Scooby-Doo. And then I realised, because then they started playing some really nasty Halloween gory songs, like one of them just had disgusting lyrics. I can't even repeat it. And then I realised, oh, Scooby-Doo has, they chase ghosts, don't they? Ghosts. Ghosts, by the way, they're not dead people. It's demonic. My sister and her friend saw me when I wasn't there, when I was a child. It's something from the dark realm that is emulating you. That's why you must not keep these dark relics, these things in your house. You know, our Saviour's going to come back soon. Get your house ready. Clean out all that shizer, yeah? That's my warning to you. Anyway, so, yeah. Halloween, yeah. Then they played Devil Woman by Cliff Richard. You know, she's just a devil woman. Da-da-na-na-na-na-na. Yeah, my mother went to see Cliff Richard. I don't know if that's after he turned bad. But yeah, by the way, Darren, if you're watching this, or if the landlady is also watching this, we went to ELO tribute band were playing at the bandstand last year after the landlady had locked me out, and Darren was like, oh, that song must be about Alice Victoria Scott. I said, why? Because they're singing Evil Woman. Yeah. That's you. I know it's not for me to say. I know. Abiyahu's got this. I do what Napoleon said. The enemy will let the enemy make their own mistakes. Anyway, which is something, as I said, I've always done. And I've got to revert back to my old ways, which is just that. So anyway, yeah. So, yeah, seeing a picture of Cliff Richard with I then saw a picture of Cliff Richard with what's his name, Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile, his birthday was on Halloween, and he was a high satanic priest. Did you know that? Did you know that he used to do rituals in the basement of that secure hospital? Oh, yeah, the nurses used to see him engaging in necrophilia. They said that they saw him having sex in the morgue with the dead bodies, but they were too scared to say anything. Oh, yes. And all that other stuff. I've seen the pictures. I've seen the photographs of him doing all the hand gestures and wearing the wizard thing. I can't believe we wrote. My sister got. Yes, I am calling her my sister because that's what she was born. Would you arrest my mother for calling my sister Bronya my sister? No. My sister Bronya had a reply from Jim will fix it in April 1982, a month after I was born. And Mum and Bronya, when we went to see Aladdin in 1992, I'm going to look it up. I'm actually going to check. It was around 1992. I was 10 years old and Rolf Harris was in Aladdin. We might have even gone to see it just up the road here at the Congress Theatre. Yeah, it might have just been up the road. It's just up the road here at the Congress Theatre that I saw Uri Geller. And Uri Geller fixed Bronya's clock. He fixed other things as well. It was around the time that Michael Jackson was having another trial, and and you know he was friends with Michael Jackson, and Bronya wanted him to speak to my mum, but he was too late. My mother had just died, and Uri Geller said that we'd get these weird signs, which we did actually get, flashing lights and a bird flying around the room. I had that happen, by the way. But Uri might be a Mossad asset. So this is the deep state, and it's very interesting. I can tell you that. My head is always thinking crumbs. This is what helps me to stay alive. I feel like a robot, but it's you have to stay in that disassociative state in order to survive. That's a trauma thing. So yeah. Have I got anything else to say? No, that's it. Yeah. No, like I said in the last video though, the last live stream. Because I don't remember every single thing. A lot of things are blurry, but I do vaguely remember Mum and Bronya like almost pushing me when we went to see Rolf Harris in Aladdin. They were like, "Get ready in case he calls you the children up on stage." And of course, I've since learnt that apparently someone alleged that Rolf Harris touched them up on stage. But I was so anxious. I was so terrified at the thought of stage fright or suddenly needing the loo or something like that if I went up on stage, because of my anxiety issues. Everything's so emphasized. When you're a child, everything is so much bigger than it really is. Your fears are so much bigger than what they are if you're an adult. The thought of going up on stage and suddenly needing the loo, whereas if I was an adult and I was desperate for the loo, I'd just say, "Excuse me, sorry, I'm going to have to go to the loo." So I would say that. I would say that as an adult. But as a 10-year-old, it's like, oh, what if I go up on stage and I suddenly need the loo? And then you imagine having an accident. You imagine it. Oh. Whereas as an adult, you just say, "Sorry, I got to go. Sorry, I suddenly need the loo. I'm going to have to go. Bye." Yeah, but I vaguely remember Mum and Bronya, they did actually say, "Get ready to go up on stage in case Rolf Harris calls you up." So I'm going to actually double check. He was definitely in Aladdin. He's definitely Rolf Harris. In 1992-ish. I was about 10 years old. I remember Bronya was very upset with me. I'd fallen out with her. It was around my birthday. She gave me a Rolf Harris book with his drawings and poems in, and she put a pencil. She used to dump stuff in my room. It was really weird because for her to get out of her bedroom, she had to walk through my bedroom, and she treated my bedroom like it was a reception area for her friends, like a waiting room. It was quite weird, actually. Who built the house like that? It's very weird. But she put things outside her door into my bedroom, and one time I shoved it up against her bedroom door as if to say, "I don't want it." It was a way of saying I'm upset, and she was very upset because it was a gift, this Rolf Harris book. It's funny the things you remember, isn't it? But I like to concentrate. The reason why I can cope with things so well is because I live in my childhood, and when I've been with Darren, I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. His mother said to me, "You could have a good life with Darren," and now all these things have happened to me. I know it's spiritual. I know I'm a very intelligent woman, so I understand what's going on, that this is happening to loads of people all over the world. It's not just me, it's spiritual, whether you believe in scripture or not. All these so many people are saying the same things. So many people. They can't all be wrong, can they? We can't all be wrong. And it's wonderful because we're not alone. We're not alone in this spiritual battle. So yeah, but I when I've been with Darren, I want to believe. I've wanted to believe in my mind, obviously, that he's enjoying this. That when I say let's do this and let's do that, he never suggests anything. It's all me. Let's do this. Let's do that. I'm singing and dancing and I was born to be a performer, but it never happened. I found that reality itself has provided everything I need. Because you couldn't make this shizer up, could you? It's just so crazy. And that's what makes it so fun, is I've got all these stories to tell, but I never actually became a child model or went into acting, and so bloody glad I didn't. This is it for me. This is it. It's a journey. For me, right now I'm trying to survive, and I need Darren to tell me the truth. And that's it. Because I need to know what is going on. Abuse is abuse. If you love me, you'll fight for the woman. If you love a woman, you'll fight for that woman. That's what a real man does. Oh, that's why I've ended up a spinster. You find me a man to bring a child into this, when all I'm hearing and all I'm seeing is evil all around me. That's all I'm hearing. When I was a child, I really wanted. I'm 43. When I was 8 years old, I thought I would love to have a baby one day, but I just know the world is going to be too evil for me to bring a child into. And unless I can give that child what my mother gave me, And all I'm hearing is evil. My heart bleeds for children of today. They will never have what I had. They can have all the money in the world. They will never have the blessings that I had. My mother was a single mother. I have my grandmother to thank for those lovely holidays and even the house that we lived in. I have my grandmother to thank. She lived through 2 world wars. She was a teacher and she adopted my mother. My mother lived through 1 world war. But it's grandma. Mum used to say to me, grandma paid for this and grandma paid for that. My mother was amazing. She could make things. She could add toys, dolls, clothes. She was going to make me an Anne Boleyn costume. That would have been a fingers up to Jimmy Savile, because I wrote to him. No, my mother made me an Edwardian dress when I was 9 years old so that I could look like my grandmother, because she was Edwardian. She was a single mother, though, struggling. That's why I'm being discriminated against. Because as the doctor said, and I've heard it for decades, you're too eloquent. I'm not some drugged up. I'm not one of these vile degenerates. The one that was mentioned in the BBC News as mugging the elderly with her mother for a second time, the cocaine addict, I overheard her say, "Oh, she got a silver spoon in her mouth." Me? Silver spoon in my mouth? That's funny. That was as funny as John Boy, the ex-army Jehovah's Witness, calling me a posh tart. I found that funny. I'm not posh. I'm not grand in any way. No, I might put it on a little bit, but no, I have my mother to thank. You know, if I did a signature in Primark, and the lady said, "You got lovely handwriting." I said, "I have my late mother to thank for that. She taught me that when I was a child." And the way the cashier smiled at me, I think I made her day by telling her that. I said, "I owe it to my mother, so thank you very much. I honour my mother." Yes, Alice Victoria Scott. I tell you what, I was watching the Ten Commandments on the telly. I paid for it with Charlton Heston and the attractive Yul Brynner. Yeah, I found out his birthday's the 16th of July, the same as Michael Flatley. Michael Flatley, my first love. Yul Brynner, I like Yul Brynner. But yeah. Thou shalt not bear false witness, Alice Victoria Scott and all you others. Eastbourne Borough Council, Eastbourne Police, and the list goes on, of course. Honour thy mother and father, yes. Always honour my... forever and always. You know, Darren was right. Murder, you can murder... You can murder with the tongue, with the words that you use. You know, I feel as if I murdered Darren with my tongue, with my words. I'm so confused though, because yeah, this is where it all gets messy, you see. I hated myself for the things that hurt. You always take it out on the one that you love, but then when they start hurting you, oh, we see where this is where it all becomes, you know. But anyway, yeah, the Ten Commandments, good film. I'm going to say something funny and then I'm going to end the stream. Near the start of the movie, the Hebrew slaves in Egypt, I'm going to say something a bit rude. They're erecting this thing and they've got the ropes and they're like this. They're like the slaves have lost control of the they're like, "Oh, it's going up, it's going up, it's going up," and they're like, they've got the ropes. Now, this is where Hollywood are very, very naughty, because it's supposed to be a holy film, but it's erecting like this, which it's supposed to, but they're like, they've got the ropes and they're like, oh, you know, because, you know, they're killing them with slavery. And Pharaoh says, "Oh, it's an obelisk." Do you know what an obelisk is? It's an Egyptian phallic thing. Yeah. And it's used by these Luciferian Satanists in what do you call it? Where the Vatican is in Italy, they've got an Egyptian obelisk, which is that very thing. It's phallic. So the fact that it's you see what I'm saying. It's rude. What else was I going to say? I was going to say something about that movie. Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. But anyway, the parting of the Red Sea. Apparently, I read somewhere that people have got different ideas about different things. But I saw a video about the parting of the Red Sea, and it was like an archaeological thing. And they said that it might have been the Sea of Reeds rather than the Red Sea. They said that reeds parted, like, reeds. I thought, well, that's completely different to the sea parting, isn't it? But anyway, I saw a thing that said, oh, they used jelly for the movie, the Ten Commandments. They did it in reverse, and it was jelly. It was they used a tank, and apparently they used jelly. Well, anyway, whatever it was amazing. Obviously, 3 hours long that movie was. What was I going to say? Yeah, Moshe. Yeah, Darren said to me that what brought him to the name of Yahweh. Now Moses, his real name is Moshe. It's pronounced Moshe. Like John is, Yuccanon, because the word J didn't exist. Joshua is like Yeshua, instead of Jesus. Peter is Cephas. So Darren has helped me remember all these things. But Moshe, Darren said he was in the library, because he was like, well, what was the name that was given to Moshe at the burning bush? Because he said, I am is not a name. Because he says, I am. It was Yahweh, Yod, Hey, Wor, Hey, the 4 Hebrew vowels. But yeah, well, anyway, so I've watched the 10 Commandments, and now I'm getting shattered just doing this. So, but I had to do my, and like I said, there's a very serious message in these live streams for Darren, and I just need him to hear what I'm saying, because he's just got to tell me the truth. He's got to tell me the truth. You just got to tell me the truth, Darren. Right, that's me done. I've had my little talk, that. I've talked about the amazing Mr. Blunden, the 10 Commandments, Adamant, and Madeline Smith. That's it. I'm done. I mean, like, even in the 1920s, there's a man who's, I watch loads of YouTube videos, but they were doing this in the 1920s. There were pictures of Hollywood movie stars back in the 1920s, the early 20th century, and they're still doing the Egyptian. I mean, I've seen pictures of Adamant doing this. I know I shouldn't do it. It's an Egyptian. I mean, Joyce Meyer, the false church teachers, they're all doing the X Factor. I mean, even that, the Prince Charming X, that is Egyptian. That is X Factor. That is satanic. The crossing of it could also mean skull and crossbones, because Adamant wore the skull and crossbones, not just because he was a pirate, but because he was in the club. When he had an eye operation, he wore the one patch. They know what they're doing. There was a really weird picture of Adamant doing this, and I just remember this was in 2011, and it was around. I mean, I could have even asked him, but this was before I knew any of this stuff. Can you imagine if I went up to Adamant now and I said, "Oi, yay! I used to chase after you. My mother said you were my guardian." I actually said to Adamant, my mother said that you were like a guardian angel to me. So I should now say to him, why are you doing the Baphomet? Why are you worshipping Satan? You wrote to me. He actually wrote to me in his letter. He said, I'm making a channel for documentary about my demons of mental illness. My demons. So, I'm just putting it out there, hoping and praying that intelligent people will listen to me and not just the weirdos and the trolls. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to end my live stream now. I've had a good rant. I've still got a lot to do. I've got emails to write, to type, and all of that. And yeah, it's 2:30 in the morning. I've got to go. But I'm still homeless and my funds are running out, and it is all very, 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 very frightening. But it's good to have a rant. So I'm done now. So I shall say good night. And oh, yes, it's the 4th of November. Yesterday was Adamant's 71st birthday. Yes. My mother was 71 when she died. My mother would be 87 now, but Adamant was 71 yesterday. That's scary, isn't it? My mother would be 88. Yeah, my mother would be 88. She was born in 1937, so she would be 88 next month. But she would be, yeah. So Adamant was 71, which was yesterday, which was the age my mother was when she died. But I want to become more childlike, because the chosen ones, the children of Yahweh, to get through the gates of the Shalmayim, which is the Hebrew word for heaven. You have to become like children. So my Muslim acquaintance friend, you know what she said to me? She said, you look younger every time I see you. Obviously, I've stopped talking to her because of she couldn't cope with listening to me. But youthfulness, real, true youthfulness comes from here, it comes from Abba Yahweh. Yeah. Anyway, there we go. I just thought it was very interesting that Bella, the character Bella is the naughty girl, and yet she's like a little girl in her mind. So that movie was released in 1971, 72. There's nothing new under the sun. They know what they're doing. They know about trauma-based mind control, because they've been doing it since the 1950s. So, well, actually, no, they were doing it during the wartime, wasn't it? At Auschwitz. But yeah, they were doing. Yeah, I share a birthday with Joseph Mengele. Oh, that makes me feel sick. He did unthinkable experiments on children. I've been to Auschwitz. Ugh. Anyway, I'm done. I'm out of it now. Shalom Yahweh, and over and out. That's me done.